unhealthy use of substances, low self-esteem,
Yikes.
dependence on others for validation, poor self-regulation of emotions and behavior, easily
Whoa,
heightened
whoa, whoa,
/ or
whoa.
experience anxiety.
Why you calling me out?
No goals are lower than they could achieve and anything else and any
Rude.
combination of these.
Fill the room with the juice. That's a lot of loot. That bit fire. Yeah, she kinda cute.
Welcome back to the channel, you guys. We are going to be getting into a good one because I really am curious to know exactly how to distinguish who had a rough childhood, because I feel like I'm able to pick it up. You know what I mean? Like I'm just closer to people who I know have gone through things maybe similar to me or other things that are on the same level. But before we get into the reaction, I have some tacos here. So we got fish tacos this time. So the shrimp taco like I got last time, and then I got like a different one that's like grilled salmon, I think. I don't even know. We'll see how it tastes, but let's hop in this reaction because it's learning time, okay? Let's see if they have any mental health tips in here as well, because that'd be interesting to see. Are you gonna play or?
Being a people pleaser. What's
Being
a
a
subtle
people
sign
pleaser?
that someone had a rough childhood?
I'm dead.
Either isolated or poor choices in friends, unhealthy romantic relationships, unhealthy use of substances, low self-esteem,
Yikes.
dependence on others for validation, poor self-regulation of emotions and behavior, easily
Whoa,
heightened
whoa,
/
whoa,
or
whoa.
experience anxiety.
Why you calling me out?
No goals are lower than they could achieve and anything else and any
Rude.
combination of these. Insecurity. My psychology professor used to joke that psychology is the study of common sense. When someone is insecure, it is generally because they lacked security as a child. Parental love was
Dang, that's
typically
real.
conditional and very depending on the caretaker's mood. The child becomes insecure due to love not being guaranteed, so to earn this basic need, they will go throughout life trying to solve social puzzles that don't exist.
Yo.
Solving imaginary puzzles all the time
Stop
can prove to
calling
be
me
fatiguing,
out.
so these individuals tend to isolate themselves.
Can y'all see that?
Everyone is different, but one that automatically raises a red flag for me and makes me extremely worried is when someone flinches for no reason. I wouldn't say, like, you
I
raise
do
your
that
voice slightly
sometimes. I'd
at
be
them
like,
and they
ooh.
flinch. You raise your hands to grab something near them and they flinch.
Yes.
You look at them in a certain way and they flinch.
I do
you
that.
hug them and they flinch.
Yes.
Etc. Etc. This did actually happen. A girl in my class went to hug this other girl goodbye, and she flinched so bad, she nearly fell off her chair.
Chill
But what
out.
truly confirmed my suspicions was when this exact
Yikes.
same girl started crying uncontrollably when a teacher snapped her fingers in front of her and simply told her to pay attention. I was so shocked, yet so sad because I instantly knew something deeper was happening to her behind closed doors. The first lesson we learn in childhood is, how much am I worth? Our caregivers are the first to reflect this worth to us. From when we are infants and toddlers, if we cry, will someone come to us? If we fall down, will someone pick us up? To when we are kids and teenagers, do our caretakers choose to spend time with us? Do we get help with schoolwork or friend drama?
Right.
There is an important balance here. As kids, we want to be taught that we are equally important as everyone else. Some kids are taught they are less important, and as adults, they may have a hard time asking for help. They think they are bothering someone when they have a problem. They may also prioritize the needs of others based on an underlying belief that other people are more important. Some kids are taught that they're more important than others, and therefore treat others poorly and have trouble learning empathy. They try to justify, in their own minds, why they are better, which can lead to some narcissistic type thing.
Look at that. Not narcissistic type thinking. Lord Jesus. I'm starving.
Thinking. Frequent apologizing, flinching, not being able to accept compliments, trouble trusting people, and excessive helpfulness. This is me, but I by all means had a great childhood. Got bullied a little in elementary school, but other than that it was a pretty regular time growing up. Being a people pleaser and seeking praise. I've found that focusing on your hobbies and mastering at least one skill helps a ton. Gives you that internal validation that you don't need others to give you. Boundary issues are common, but reactions still are an individual thing. What helps to keep in mind is the 4F model of trauma responses: fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. When you notice somebody's reactions are easily categorized as one of those and it is a very persistent pattern, adverse childhood circumstances of some sort are a pretty safe bet. As far as I'm educated on this subject, And as far as I understood your question, the 4Fs are a fear response, and depending on one's resilience, your nervous system might develop one of these responses as a main response.
This taco is
Something
messy.
needs to happen very early in life, and repeatedly over a long period of time. If someone has really simple taste in food, eating mostly buttered noodles or whatever, there's a good chance they grew up poor.
You better stop.
That isn't to say a poor childhood is necessarily a rough one. Just be careful about making fun of someone for only eating basic food. That might be all they know.
Right.
Also, if someone gorges on food a lot, it's possible they learned the habit by fighting for food as a kid. I've struggled with weight my entire adult life because of a childhood where I had to scavenge to survive.
You better stop.
I will eat until my stomach hurts without even noticing I'm doing it most of the time.
Right.
Because my brain is wired for survival.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping at every loud noise. Apologizing too much.
I hate it, but I still
Maintaining
do it.
eye
I'd be like,
contact in
ooh.
stressful situations.
I just get
If
scared.
a person suffers from insomnia or severe migraines,
Oh, I have insomnia.
this is in my case. The stress from my childhood gave me chronic migraines, and there are many more. These are just from my perspective.
Look
I
at that.
remember going to summer camp as a kid and meeting Milo.
Look
Milo
at
was
that.
big on attention seeking and validation, and would take food from the cafeteria back to his bunk, like eggs and toast. I remember thinking he was just weird, but I think looking back and knowing what I know now, he was probably being neglected at home. Thin as a rail and probably malnourished, so he wanted as much food as he could get, and just wanted someone to acknowledge him. Pretty sad stuff. I am overly sensitive to people's emotions or feelings. If someone is quiet for too long, I get nervous and think they're angry with me.
Right.
I also flinch when people come at me from behind or unexpectedly. Both of these are difficult to explain in friendships with people with different childhoods because it's easy to misinterpret anxiety as insecurity and downplay disproportionate reactions. I still have a hard time explaining that I actually hate being tickled, grabbed, and I laugh and scream out of instinct and not fun.
Do not tickle me, dude.
My sister-in-law adopted 3 siblings who were completely self-sustainable at a very young age. When they were visiting, I noticed a lot. If I gave anything to the oldest boy, he would pass it off to the youngest sister. Then I'd give him another and it went to the middle sister. Then I'd give him another and he'd finally keep it for himself. I asked if they wanted water. He said yes, and I asked if the girls wanted water too. Oh, we can all share this one. Obviously I gave them all water, but that one hit me pretty hard. He knew their eating schedules and would nag my sister-in-law. Offered to make them mac and cheese or noodles or whatever we have laying around. Promised to clean up after.
So sad.
He was 12 years old. When normal kids play video games, they're glued. This kid was constantly checking over his shoulder to make sure everyone was safe, and if he felt one of his sisters was up to no good, he would put the controller down even if it meant dying or losing his progress in the game.
Wow.
To elaborate on up to no good, what the oldest brother considered bad behavior was pretty innocuous. There were several instances of things I consider normal childish behavior that he would regularly put a stop to. The most outstanding one was being too loud. It wouldn't even be yelling or screaming. Just typical 5-year-old make-believe noises that would cause him to run over and tell the little one to keep it down. Can't figure out whether or not to permanently cut off contact with bad parents, or who go back and forth, cutting off and trying again, and cutting off and trying again. Even considering it means your childhood was very bad. And if you want to but can't do it, it probably means your childhood was many more times worse than that. To erode your sense of self and healthy boundaries to the point where you know what you have to do, but have been brainwashed by your oppressors to the point where you can't bring yourself to do it. Mine was when I would say to my wife, our kids won't have an upbringing like mine, I want them to have the best. I thought most people thought like this, turns out no. When my kids were little, my mom said, why do you go the kids' sports day and the school play? They won't remember. I turned around and said, oh, I remember every time you weren't there, which was easy cause you only came once. And you moaned about how long the carol service took, because you wanted to go out and get pissed. Always starting out seeing people of the interested gender in a romantic way if they had their parental figure of the gender missing, or just not knowing how to deal with them in general. Being insecure, desperately seeking validation and attention. Having trust issues, being pessimistic, and through this constantly overthinking if people in public talk about you in a bad way. Thinking that someone's kindness is a lie or just out of pity. Thinking how a big event like a birthday or party could escalate or end up being no fun. Oh, don't take what I say seriously. I don't know what I'm saying most of the time. Cannot stand conflict. a compulsive need to find a way out of it without making enemies. Disregarding your thoughts, you've somehow effortlessly learned to not let them be important enough to focus on. Being immune to people. Feeling disconnected with yourself and your feelings while making friends.
Bruh.
Your emotional self is distant from what you project onto the surface.
Bruh.
Maybe? I don't know. Don't take my word for it. From personal experience, they always have a defense about what they're doing and why they're doing it lined up.
Yeah. Always.
I was verbally mocked a lot as a child and teen. It hurt me a lot because it didn't matter if I did something right or wrong, I'd get yelled at for it.
No matter
so
what.
I learned to have an excuse prepared just in case I have to answer for what I'm doing. Even in my adult life, I feel like I'm always thinking to myself ways to justify what I'm up to. Even if it's something as benign as why I put a dish away where I did. No one ever asks about the mundane stuff I do, but I always feel like I have to be ready to defend myself. It really sucks. I shouldn't have to justify my existence.
Okay. Why do I gotta
Being
justify it so
afraid you're going to
hard?
bother someone. If a friend is in a bad mood, or acting different for any reason, trying to think if there's any possible way it could be your fault. Another one is being a people pleaser. Not always associated with issues during childhood, obviously, as sometimes people are just givers. But those who felt they were a disappointment as a child often engage in reassurance-seeking and approval-seeking behavior.
I need a lot of
manifesting as
reassurance.
people-pleasing
Like,
personality.
you can't even be in
and
a
excessive
relationship with me because I
apologizing.
need so much reassurance. What to talk?
Overcompensation
Please.
is what I'd say. Someone who had a rough childhood is paranoid that the future years don't follow the same suit. This can be both good and bad depending on the intellectual and emotional stability of the individual.
Right.
Such people can either be too much into seeking validation from others, proving themselves to others, or are way too hardworking in their craft and want to excel in their vocation as they know that people are full of it. Although common traits in both types are want to be lonely and not stay in very active or budding groups for a long time. Generally, a rough childhood leaves a scar on an individual's mental, which can only be recovered by a compromise between one's ego and the force of time. Some telltale signs: introversion, few friends, tendency to stay in small groups or no groups, over-obliging, if focused in career or hobby, then very hardworking, difficulties communicating with the opposite gender, specifically for men.
Is that not me?
Substance abuse, seeking motivation from external sources, such as their own success or success of others, deep mistrust for others.
Deep distrust.
When someone always complains about your life. That's what happened to me. I remembered this kid in 6th grade. She hated me. One day, she started yelling at me with tears in her eyes. She said, "I hate how you always get your parents' attention. They love you, pay attention to you, and are nice to you.
Right.
My parents hate me. They even said that they want me dead."
Same.
She started crying. I hugged her and told her that her parents are mentally retarded and that she could stay with me whenever something bad happens.
Dead.
She calmed down and hugged me back. Turns out that her parents were alcoholics and homophobic. The girl came out as a lesbian and her parents, and they started being toxic towards her and calling her the F word. I'm in 8th grade now and she's with a new loving family. She's struggling with PTSD and I'm trying everything in my power to help her.
Dang. Yo, see what I'm saying? Ridiculous.
Being very calm and collected in serious emergency situations.
Oh my God,
Having to
me.
deal with stressful stuff all my life has
All
made me
my
very
life.
capable, intense situations.
Okay.
This could go the complete opposite. But just my experience.
Something
Many
crazy
of my
can be
friends
happening.
have
I'll just be
enlisted as
like,
their emergency contacts instead of their parents because they're like, I know that you can actually help instead of
Next.
just flip out. My childhood
Anyways.
wasn't tough in that my parents hated me and treated me badly since. But they are just basically children. Completely unreliable, unable to plan, spiteful in the way teens are. I had to take care of everything, so now I'm just good at keeping it together. Good people don't always make good parents.
that if that
Being
ain't the
unable to
truth.
draw boundaries, apologizing constantly, drawing
Girl,
their sense of worth from everyone
how
around
many
them,
people you know?
displacing their emotional responsibility into their relationships. Example, miserable but don't want to acknowledge it, so they displace their frustration of what's happened to them onto friends.
Literally.
People pleasing.
I be going in and
Avoiding
out of
touch
that
can
shit.
hint they didn't have enough good touch from their parents to balance out any bad touch. Perfectionism. Procrastination.
Perfectionism.
Sometimes they feel emotionally distant. Like, you can talk to them just fine and it seems like they're being open to you. But it feels like they're emotionally untouchable, as if they have walls and barriers put up, but are trying to hide it.
Forever.
They'll either be apathetic or grandiose to hide how they might be hurting.
Forever.
This is just in my case, but maybe because showing vulnerability in their family would just be used as ammunition against them in the next argument.
Period.
They might keep you at arm's length at first,
Always.
but once you get to know them and really connect with them, they'll practically hold you above all things, as if you were an essential part of their lives.
True. Very true.
Food insecurities can manifest in different ways, usually eating very quickly or eating very slowly.
What you talking about?
Another one is that they have
Okay.
problems with portion control. Example. You order some pizza for a night in with some friends, enough so each person gets a whole pizza to themselves. One of your friends eats nearly half the pizza right away, then is also the first to finish theirs that night. While everyone still has a good portion of pizza left, they have none. Not a huge red flag, but from my experience it usually meant growing up they weren't 100% sure when their next meal would be, so they ate as much as possible. Because they may not have dinner or breakfast, because they lacked the food to do so. After all, having a large dinner meant they won't be starving at breakfast.
That's so
Continual
true.
self-sabotage. Either staying in a terrible relationship
Constant.
or blowing up a perfectly good one. You kinda internalize the thought that you don't deserve good things, so you destroy them to justify your anxiety.
Immediately.
The sad thing is, these people often don't even realize they're doing it. Your brain tries to externalize the bad things happening to you. You don't want to admit that it's your own fault.
I do not.
I don't really know if my childhood was bad or what. I have to constantly seek validation from other people, especially my parents, teachers, friends, family. If they aren't happy with me, I'm not happy with myself. I'm horrible at saving money. Every single time I see my parents, I try to make the relationship work and just leave their house angry again. I don't know if people like me because they think I'm an interesting and good person, or they want to get something from me after a big social event. I always feel like I want to cry and I'm lonely.
Same.
Thanks for listening to Radio TTS.
You're welcome.
Hit the subscribe button
Same.
and activate the notification bell
Same.
for more videos about being
insane. Literally. Ooh, I felt all of that. I thought it was just going to be a couple that I would maybe be like, oh yeah. No, pretty much a good 75, if not 85% of that was 1000% correct. I literally feel that way. Like, and sometimes don't you feel like you have your mental illness because of your childhood? Like, I want to know how many people have a mental illness and their childhood was amazing. I need to have a conversation with that person because I would love to know how that manifested, or if it was just, generational and it was just going to happen regardless. You know what I mean? I don't know, but you guys let me know what y'all think. Also, let me know y'all childhood stories down below. Let me know if y'all had some rough childhoods, or if you had a good one, let me know as well. Let me know about all the Barbie dream houses that you got, along with the American Girl dolls and everything else that I wish I got. Let me calm down. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to enter the giveaway, and don't forget to comment your Instagram. If you don't comment your Instagram in the giveaway video, I can't add you in. So I need you to remember to do that. Other than that, I'll see y'all on the next one, and thank you for watching. Bye. Bye. Okay? Because the PTSD is just rude.